So let's set the scene. It's 2003. I met my first boyfriend, who is now my husband, and he is a Muslim. Now, I had never heard, I was 13 at the time, and I had never heard of Islam at all. I don't think, unless it was like in a history class or something. I lived in a pretty non-diverse area, basically white and Christian Catholic mix of people. My family growing up, we were Catholic. However, we really didn't practice all that much. We went to church on like holidays. My mom was always just really big about us believing in God. That was her big thing. She wasn't super stringent on particular rules. She just said, you have to believe in God. God is so important. And that was kind of where she left it. Going around my boyfriend, now husband's family, I started learning about Islam naturally just because they were practicing. And, occasionally as time went by, I would go to the mosque with them and just, for Friday prayer and just be involved in different things. Over the years, I would participate somewhat in Ramadan. And I just found such peace in being at the mosque, hearing the Quran, the prayer, all of that. And converting was really never on my mind. It was just not something that was brought up or that I thought about. I just knew that I enjoyed learning about Islam and being around other people practicing. And I enjoyed the religion, and I loved that it was more structured. I don't know. I know some people don't like that. Like, they don't like the structure of religion, but something about that, like, called to me. And I started, participating in Ramadan a little bit, reading a little bit of Quran, watching some, videos and lectures, and shout out to Mufti Mink. I watched him a lot back then. Time has passed, and it's a couple years later, and my mom wants to put in a religion class to be confirmed and kind of follow the way of the Catholic Church. I wasn't pushing to be Catholic, but that's all she knew, and she was just kind of wanting me to have more of a grasp about my faith. Up for classes, I was probably 16 at the time, and she signed me up for classes at a church, and I went a couple of times, but there was always just something that didn't sit right with me, and it was always the fact that and to be Catholic, you have the Trinity, and to this day, I still don't necessarily understand it all that well, but I just felt like it didn't fit with what I believed. I believed that, God was God, and that was what I was always taught, and it was just God, like that was it. And so whenever I came across Islam, it made a lot more sense to me, because I was like, well, yeah, like it preaches that there's one God only, and that just made sense to me. So I kept going to classes for a few more weeks, and then I told my mom I didn't want to go anymore. And this was the time I really started to kind of think about converting. And I was asking my husband, or my boyfriend at the time's family, about how it worked and, what that would entail. And they were so nice, and they were not pushy at all. They were just like giving me the information that I wanted. And to be honest, without them, I would have still sought it out to kind of talk to somebody at the mosque and just see what it was that I would have to do. And so right around the time I turned 18, I felt like, okay, like I'm ready to take the step to convert. And I just felt it was right. I can't even tell you what like a defining moment was, because I didn't know a ton about the religion. I learned a little bit through my boyfriend at the time's family. I, looked some things up here and there, but YouTube and all that wasn't as popular back in those days. Information wasn't as readily available as it is now. So really it was just a feeling I got. And I feel like throughout my whole journey, a lot of the choices I make, whether it's converting, wearing hijab, things like that, it's like a feeling I get. It's not necessarily like, something I've sat and thought about for, years at a time. It's just kind of like something that comes over me, like this is the right decision, like a really good feeling. And I believe, it's of course God guiding me to, the right choice. On one random Friday after I had turned 18, I went to the mosque with my boyfriend, now husband. I feel weird saying boyfriend because he's my husband, but my husband's family. And so I went there and we did my Shahada, and I became Muslim on that day. I have never been more happy of a decision I've made in my entire life. It was by far the best decision I've ever made. It's made me closer to God. So much peace whenever I go through hard times. Having my faith is truly my biggest blessing. I'm grateful that I was guided to Islam. I feel like it is, the most beautiful religion, and I feel like if people actually took the time to really figure it out, to really look into it, it's just such an easy decision to see that it's such a beautiful faith and it brings so much joy to so many people. I wanted to share my story with you because while it's not earth shattering, it was for me. I feel like that was the beginning of my life changing for the better, and I feel like it continues to improve as I become closer to my faith. And I will forever be grateful every single day that God guided me to Islam, because I really feel like my life turned out so much better than it ever could without it. And I know a lot of reverts out there have problems with family accepting it, and I was just incredibly lucky because my family was so supportive and still is. My mom always, again, kept to her testament that as long as you believe in God and you're a good person, that's all I care about. And I am so grateful for that. My sister as well is so supportive, asks me questions still to this day, like, oh, what do you guys do for this? Or, they're just so supportive. And without that, I know it would have been a lot harder. So I'm just so grateful for my support system, for my faith, and I feel like it has made me who I am today.